What is good, YouTube? This is Vortex. I'm back with another Hunter x Hunter discussion video here. As always, guys, these discussion videos will be roughly every weekend, either between Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Any of those days, and roughly two discussion videos per Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And so diving into another one of the Chimera Ants characters here, I wanted to talk about Peggy, and per the title, a great mind wasted. Reason why I say that, there's just a couple of things that I want to talk about per Peggy's um, character, his mind, and just the fact that I just felt like in the midst of everything that corresponded up leading up to the king being born, um, that Peggy for me was one of my favorite Chimera Ant characters, because Peggy reminded me, when you think of a strategist of war, for me, Peggy was one of them. I automatically thought of Star Wars and uh, Commander Tarkin. For those of you who are Star Wars fans, Commander Tarkin, and one of my all-time favorite um, strategists as far as Star Wars is concerned, as far as the books are concerned, and then eventually jumping into the Clone Wars TV show, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Again, this is for those of you who are um, Star Wars fans of either or the original movies, and like I said, of course, the Clone Wars. But more so diving into the character, guys, is that when we think about Peggy, we think about just a few things. He, his mind was of an elder. I mean, basically based upon his look, he was basically one of those sharp minds, one of those minds that needed to feed, not physically feed, but mentally feed. Um, and when you look at this specific spot, as you see here with Peggy, he is he is a reader. He is an intellectual Chimera Ant. He um, needs to, like I said, not physically feed himself, but mentally feed himself. And that immediately drew me into his character, because I love to read books. More so Star Wars books, because again, like I mentioned, I'm a pretty much a fan of, or more so like a big fan of Star Wars, and more so the Star Wars books. And I read a couple other fictional books as well. But that Peggy truly stood out to me out of a lot of the Chimera Ants, the main ones, um, and and just this view of him, reading. Reading is fundamental. I mean, it is, the statement is cliche-ish, but reading truly is a fundamental thing to do in life. But I want to dive into just a few other things as far as Peggy and the Chimera Ants are concerned. Now, specifically, one of the specific things I want to talk about is this Chimera Ant here. This Chimera Ant did not have a name, but I would more so basically just, as per its look, it's coming from the form of a crocodile, but the crocodile ant, pretty much when it was talking to Colt, it had mentioned that here it's stating that the turtle guy ran into some resistance. And that turtle guy is this Chimera Ant, another elderly looking Chimera Ant, um, who I would more so believe that would have some type of position in the Chimera army, um, because basically the turtle guy here was a squadron leader. The same with Peggy and Colt and a few others. But I bring up the turtle guy because the turtle guy brought up this in his conversation with Peggy. When having the conversation here with Peggy, the turtle guy had mentioned uh, talking about having a name, and also the turtle guy also mentioned it to the queen here when when the queen had basically uh, did the telekinesis to all of her squadron leaders, brought them to her, and giving her squadron leaders the update of wanting more food that the turtle guy pretty much had mentioned. Like I said, from the conversation you had with Peggy, also talking to the queen of mentioning, would you allow us to have, names? And of course, the queen uh, allowed them to do whatever they wanted to do because her main goal was to basically birth the king. And so uh, with that, ended up being which ended up being the cause for her to consider naming giving the king a name too, which I found very interesting. As far as this episode, in episode 78, I forgot to mention that this is episode 78. When we're talking about this, Peggy getting this information from the turtle guy, um, as far as pushing out names to the group, which he ended up doing uh, in the next clip, which is this clip here, where he gathered the chimera ants, the basically the squadron leaders, to not only basically I guess more so to just talk to them about the next more so to talk to them about the next village that they had on his list, to go out and get more humans to feed to the queen. But in this episode of episode 79, the next episode, that he was Peggy was basically the basically like the main strategist for you know the army. And with them getting their names through, again, like I said, through the turtle ant there, from the suggestion that he gave both Peggy and the queen. And basically, I I take it more so that Peggy was the main person, or the main chimera ant, that gave the squadron leaders these specific names. Um, and so that's why I say Peggy to me was kind of like you know a better a wasted mind, even in the midst of him making this statement in the next clip, where in this clip here in episode 80, when he was having a conversation with Colt about specific things, where he, in the midst of his own wisdom, his own knowledge that he gained over the many months of him being around and born as Peggy, that he more so humbled himself to even make a statement as Colt was walking away, which I don't believe Colt even heard Peggy say this, that he said that you're a better strategist than me. So, and that's why I'm saying, guys, Peggy, I feel like, was a wasted mind, um, as as a character, in this arc that we are currently in, which in turn caused this to happen, where basically the king killed him very swiftly, very quickly, very easily, with the slash of his tail, um, just literally within seconds of him being born. And that's just, it just shows and proves that the king is a very, very um, ruthless character as far as the Chimera ants are concerned, as far as him being, the king. And that's why I say, guys, Peggy was pretty much, a wasted character. Brilliant mind, in my view, wise, um, and just, fundamentally a great character who, in my opinion, was wasted. He was smart. He was a strategist for the squadron leaders of the Chimera Ant group, and he was swiftly taken out by the king, which I felt like they could have probably still used him, um, and his brilliant mind, in my opinion. Uh, so it just, to me, it just sucks that Peggy, being like I said, one of my favorite characters in this arc specifically, um, just a mind wasted. It sucks that he had to go out the way that he did. Um, so, and with that, even talking to the turtle guy, and just this statement, if you want the details, read a book, and that alone is wisdom enough. I mean, people should definitely pick up a book, read it, because it's just something that we should continuously do, in this life that we live, even in reality. So, with that, guys, that's pretty much my thoughts on Peggy the Chimera Ant. What did you all think of his character? Let's have a chat in the comment section, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Did you like the character? Did you enjoy his character? Did you not? Let's have a chat, guys, and I will chat with you all tomorrow with another Hunter x Hunter discussion video. Peace, guys.